Morning everybody, welcome to Solo ReacTalk. Today I'm going to continue my Haitian Revolution reactions, and I'm going to be focusing on the feature history Haitian Revolution videos. There's two videos, and this was a request from Gregory Laszlo 5463. If you guys want to check out my previous reaction to the extra history Haitian Revolution videos, remember that the card is going to be at the top right here. You'll be able to access it. And if you want to check out the original videos for the Haitian Revolution on the feature history part 1 and part 2, as well as feature history's YouTube channel, the links are going to be in the description below. Okay, let us continue with my reaction to the Haitian history. I suspect it's going to be pretty much the same like what I've heard from extra history. I'm not sure if there's going to be any more new information or you know what else could be added, but we'll just have to see how feature history, you know, presents the Haitian Revolution in his interpretation or point of view. Yes. Okay, let's start. 3, 2, 1, go.
This video has been brought to you by CuriosityStream and Nebula, featuring exclusive content from me. More at the end.
I like the entrance, the introduction music to the video. Yeah, that's nice. That's actually quite nice.
Bonjour et bienvenue à Feature History. We're on top of our figurative butchering of French, we'll be featuring literal butchering of French. Who wrote this shit? I did. We'll be using today to take a look at the often overshadowed Haitian Revolution. Given the generic title, it's easy to assume that it was just one of them wars in one of them countries. But what if I told you that the Haitian Revolution tore down slavery, and empires, and colonialism before any of that was in vogue? Haiti would become the first independent nation of Latin America, the second Republic of America, the first to permanently abolish slavery in the world, and the only state in history founded by slaves.
The first independent state of Latin America. Okay. Alright. Let me also write that one down. Because I just wrote that they were the second in America, but not the first in Latin America. Why is the southern continent or region of the Americas called, you know, predominantly Latin America? Why is it Latin when most of those countries in South America speak Spanish? Why is it called Latin America? I think I need to research on that as well. Okay.
That's what really makes this revolution stand out, is the fact that it all started as a slave insurrection. It was led by slaves and fought by slaves. In response to humanity's greatest atrocity, Haitians took the reins of history and changed the world. And well, I'm gonna try to tell you about it. So clear the distractions, close your eyes, don't actually, this took forever to animate, and picture the island of Haiti, Santo Domingo, Hispaniola, the Spanish island, the Pearl of the Caribbean. It's gone by a lot of names. It's the second largest island of the West Indies, and it would be the first colonized by Christopher Columbus. Originally populated by the Taino people, after the island was settled in 1493 by the Spanish,
Okay, this I did not know about. The Taino people. Okay. So, what happened to the Taino people during the time of colonization and slavery on the island? Were there still Taino people alive? And why aren't they also prominent in, you know, the history of Haiti? Because yes, we're hearing a lot about the black African slaves who were brought to the island. We heard a lot about the colonizers, but we never really hear anything about the native inhabitants of the island, the Taino people. Huh.
The indigenous people were systematically killed through disease, slavery, and massacre.
I see.
Haiti was seized for its gold deposits, and once exhausted, many left the island and it became home to French, English, and Dutch pirates. It wasn't until the late 17th century that France officially laid claim to the western third of the island, establishing their colony of Saint-Domingue. It wasn't long before its value was found in coffee, indigo, and infamously sugar. The French landowners, the Grands Blancs, established large plantations and imported slaves from West Africa.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So the Taino people no longer exist. They're gone. They're extinct. As a culture, as a society, as a people, they're gone. Okay.
The colony would go on to produce 60% of the world's coffee, 40% of France and Britain's sugar, and would be the most prosperous colony in the West Indies, and the French Empire as a whole.
Yeah, one of the most prosperous, but at the backs of African slaves. The blood of African slaves. That sugar has blood on it. That indigo has blood on it. You know, that what was it? It was sugar, coffee. Yes, the coffee beans, they have blood on it too.
The colony grew to a population of 550,000 people, 500,000 being slaves. In all of Saint-Domingue's history, the majority of its population was African-born. It was rare a slave would live past 3 years on the island. Those who were able to survive the Middle Passage were subjected to cruel and unending work on the sugar plantations. The Grands Blancs practiced in methods of slow torture, the importation of man-eating dogs, and apathy to the yellow fever that ravaged much of their workforce. Outside of the Grands Blancs and their slaves, the island was home to European artisans, merchants, and workers who often held animosity to the minority of freed slaves and mixed-race mulattoes, the affranchis.
Mixed-race mulattoes? That's a new one. I haven't heard that one.
The colony was starved of European women, and so the practice of taking slave wives wasn't uncommon, and the resulting children were emancipated.
I don't know if I can actually call that a practice, but yeah, you know, we've also heard that, you know, some of these women were taken against their will, forcibly so. You know, they'd been raped by these men. And, you know, yes, as a result, children are born from these types of situations. And I guess this is one way just to clear their conscience of the wrongdoing.
Add in the few freed slaves and you have the affranchis. Some affranchis owned their own plantations and their own slaves and aspired to be equal to their white counterparts.
It's sick. It's just sick that they would want to emulate that nonsense. It's sick.
However, the society was built on inequality in race, gender, and class.
A powder keg ready to explode.
The colony wasn't self-sufficient, the majority of its crop exported and the majority of its food imported. With a population of 90% African slaves, responsible for a third of the entire Atlantic slave trade, the foundation of Saint-Domingue was the suffering of the majority for the welfare of the minority. It worked well for the Grands Blancs for over 100 years. It all changed, however, in 1789, with the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of Citizen. The newly established French First Republic would decree all men free and equal.
They must actually still specify. They don't mean all men. They don't mean all races of men. No. They mean one particular color. If you don't have that color, you're not part of us. You're not a man. Yeah.
Ambiguous as to whether that included women, slaves, or even anybody outside France proper. The affranchis had long been pushing for their own equality, and after the declaration, Vincent Auger would launch a failed uprising against the colonial government for the right to vote. With his brutal execution, the affranchis would turn to petitioning the revolutionary government in Paris. In 1791, they were awarded limited freedoms in the May 15th decree. However, the colonial government never complied with this order. As a consequence, isolated skirmishes broke out between affranchis and whites, sowing the seeds of insurrection in Saint-Domingue. On the night of the 21st of August 1791, thousands of slaves would gather in a secret voodoo ceremony. Despite their disparate backgrounds, many of these slaves had been prisoners of war, and the loose West African elements of voodoo served as a common heritage for these people. The voodoo high priest, Dutty Boukman, would give the signal for rebellion that night. The island was shrouded in a deep darkness under the clouds of a tropical storm, and the slaves would take their machetes that they used to cut the sugarcane to cut down their masters and light up the night with burning plantations. The initial uprising was an unprecedented success. Their organization begged disbelief. The affranchis would be blamed. The affranchis would blame the Grand Blancs. Nobody believed the slaves could do this themselves. In just 10 days, the slaves held control of the entire northern province. The fighting was brutal. There was no semblance of honor, as on both sides civilians were targeted, captives executed, and heads rolled.
In a revolution, there is no niceties. There is no order or conduct. Sometimes a revolution will be chaotic. And yes, the innocent are always going to be caught in the middle. When a system refuses to change or fights back change, inevitably there will be chaos. But the change must happen. Revolution must happen. You cannot be stuck in the same quagmire for another 100 and something years while people continue to enjoy the suffering of others. Something must happen. It's unfortunate that, people who are innocent, people who have nothing to do with this, yes, they live in this system, they work for this system, whether they are the small whites or the big whites, or they are slaves, or they are the mixed race people, yes, they are in this system on Saint-Domingue, but either they help in changing the future, or they can resist, or they can try to hide. That's all that's possible.
It wasn't long before the white population had retreated to the urban centres and left the mountains to the rebels. The National Assembly in Paris would respond in September by revoking the May 15th decree, which only incentivized the affranchis to align themselves with the slave rebellion and bring the fight to the cities. Soon enough, the capital of Port-au-Prince was in flames. Former slave, affranchi, and educated individual Toussaint Louverture would be a part of this. He'd separate himself from his family and his plantations to join the rebellion. Despite being a slave owner, he sought to establish himself as a leader for the rebels. With the death of Boukman in November, Toussaint would naturally fill his role. Toussaint opened negotiations with the colonial government, offering peace in return for the freedom of the rebellion's leadership and the end of lashings on the plantations. It's dubious whether or not he'd actually be able to convince the slaves to
I don't think he was going to be able to convince them to head back to, that slavery institution, just because they've given them back their leadership and they're going to stop the lashing. I don't think many of those slaves or former slaves are going to just say yes to that. So I just wonder, this kind of deal that he was trying to make with the colonial government, whether it was really something he believed it was going to work.
Return to the plantations, but regardless, the colonial government rejected the best deal they'd ever get. It was at this time the proverbial sharks had smelt blood in the water, and foreign powers looked to intervene. The Spanish would offer aid to the revolt, supplying arms and even recruiting their leadership into the Spanish army in February of 1793. The promise was the abolishment of slavery in Saint-Domingue in return for France's share of the Pearl of the Caribbean. The Grand Blancs themselves held little faith in France's revolutionary government, and they would turn and invite the British to claim Saint-Domingue. The Empire had its own interest in containing this rebellion before it spread, and the Free Colony was just the cherry on top. The British would begin an expedition of her navy and soldiers to the island.
Yes, welcome. Come and get the yellow fever.
The National Assembly knew they would need to make radical changes to avoid military disaster. The Civil Commissioner of Saint-Domingue, Léger-Félicité Sonthonax, would abolish slavery in the colony in August of 1793. He'd secure the endorsement of the National Assembly in February of the following year, and slavery would be abolished in France and all her territories. A revolutionary move by the revolutionary government. At this time, Spain and Britain were allies against France. They promised conflicting futures for Saint-Domingue, and so Toussaint and others would defect from the Spanish army and rejoin the French in May. Toussaint expelled his former Spanish allies, and for the British expedition, their largest ever, it would cost their treasury £4 million and leave 100,000 men dead or permanently disabled from the effects of yellow fever. The British fought from 17...
Wow, you can be disabled from yellow fever? I thought it just kills you. But oh, okay, that's interesting. And I still need to research on this yellow fever. I know it's not really like a flu or a disease. Well, it is a disease, and you do kind of get like flu symptoms. But you don't get it the traditional way, like from someone coughing on you or touching clothing or food that's been infected from yellow fever. You actually get it from mosquitoes, kind of like malaria, I think. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong in making that sort of a kind of example, but I think it's kind of like malaria, where the mosquito, gets this virus from some sort of like waterborne, still water sources, and then they bite you, and you get the yellow fever, and yeah, essentially you die from it. Yeah, I think that's how it goes, but I'll have to do more research.
93 to 1798. Saint-Domingue became infamous among British ranks, and deployment there was often protested. The British had captured Port-au-Prince in June of 1794, but in April of 1798, Toussaint would secure a treaty that saw the British return the city to French rule and leave the colony. The slave rebellion in Saint-Domingue had been a success. The people were freed, but the war was far from over. Though slavery had been abolished, Toussaint's quest for power had yet to end, and his enemies would only continue to amass against him. The initial slave insurrection was only the first part of the Haitian Revolution, and only the beginning of Haiti's history. And this is also only the beginning of content from me, because over on Nebula you can go over and watch my exclusive 16-minute video going into the history of Assassin's Creed 2, and doing my thing where I'm very pedantic. You love that shit. Me and other creators such as City Beautiful, Real Life Law, Tierzoo, and a whole lot of other people are creating content that we couldn't do on YouTube. So
do you have to pay for Nebula? I think I'll have to just research on that as well. Because I do hear about Nebula, but I never really took the time just to go to the website and see what's going on there.
Such as featuring our video libraries ad-free and creating exclusive originals for the service. I plan on doing a whole lot more videos going over history and video games for the platform, and this has all been made possible thanks to Nebula's partnership with CuriosityStream. There are thousands of documentaries on CuriosityStream covering history, science, nature, technology, society, and why yes, 19th century revolutions. I can recommend their two-part series covering the French Revolution. It's called The French Revolution, so I trust you'll find it. For a limited time, CuriosityStream is offering 26% off an annual plan for a total of $14 and 79 US cents a year. You can support your favorite independent creators, get tons of new content to watch from whatever I'm doing, to some of the best professionally produced documentaries out there. So to see more content on those platforms, and to support more content coming out on here, consider going to the link curiositystream.com/featurehistory. Please. Pretty please. So before we finally wrap up this video, I thought it'd be a fun idea to take some questions from you, the viewers. Let's see how much I regret this. Some guy asks, what's your favourite state in the United States? Well, I've never been there, but you can smoke doinks in Colorado and it doesn't get over 40 degrees, so that sounds pretty good. Yi Ah asks, is New Zealand Australia's waifu? Well, it has a better government and they talk very adorably, so I'd say yes, absolutely.
Okay. New Zealanders, do you guys accept that title as the waifu of Australia?
Cheers.com.au asks, Coles or Woolies?
What? Coles or Woolies? What is that?
Who do you take me for, mate? Fucking local IGA, mate, every day. And to everyone that asks me when I'm going to cover a topic as their question, I hate you all. And with that, thanks to the patrons. You boys always been there for me, and that's pretty ripper. And, there will be a part 2 at some point in the future. It'd be weird if it was in the past. The topic is, but the video won't be. It'll be in the future. Okay, bye. This video has been made possible by CuriosityStream and Nebula.
Part 2.
More at the end. When we last left off, Toussaint and the fighters of Haiti had secured liberation for themselves and for all slaves in the French Empire. However, while the people had earned their freedom, time and time again they would be made to defend it. By 1798, the armies of both Spain and Britain had been forced from the colony. Toussaint held control north of the Massif de la Selle, while his counterpart André Rigaud claimed the south. Between 1799 and 1800, the two fought each other in a civil war.
The War of Knives.
Ultimately forcing Rigaud into exile and allowing Toussaint to consolidate his control over Saint-Domingue. Rigaud had not been the only rival Toussaint ousted. He had forced Sonthonax to return to France earlier in 1797, fearing his popularity. However, his greatest threat had yet to come. In 1799, Napoleon Bonaparte overthrew the Directory and became Consul of France. Napoleon aspired to restore France's American colonies. To do this would require wealth.
It would require Saint-Domingue. It would require slavery.
Wealth that could be extracted from Saint-Domingue. It was not so secret that Napoleon conspired to restore the pre-revolution status quo of white rule, to reinstate slavery. Napoleon's power grab provoked Toussaint to cement his own position. Toussaint had led an invasion into neighbouring Santo Domingo in 1801, freeing the slaves there. He then reopened the plantations to secure the colony's economy. Plantation work was obviously unpopular, but Toussaint would just institute a forced labour program.
And I see that, I've said this before, that this was really like a true downfall of his leadership on the island. You know, instead of consulting his people, instead of explaining to his people what needs to be done, how are we going to do it, we're going to do it all together. Instead, he forces it down the barrel of a gun. And he's made himself the enemy of his own people.
Slavery? No. It's forced labour. Under military supervision, workers did receive meagre wages and were not subject to lashings. But conditions were still poor, and work wasn't a choice. Toussaint followed this in July of 1801 with a constitution for Saint-Domingue. It called for black autonomy and decried Toussaint governor for life. Feder had fallen into disfavour with his people, and had fallen into disdain with Napoleon. Napoleon would dispatch a large expeditionary fleet under the command of his brother-in-law, Charles Leclerc. He would also
Come and die due to yellow fever. Come.
Coordinate with US President Thomas Jefferson to have Saint-Domingue and its export-based economy blockaded. Toussaint's principal lieutenant, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, a former slave liberated by the Revolution, met Leclerc and his massively outnumbering force in the Battle of Cré-et-Pierrot in March of 1802. A costly battle for both sides, Dessalines faced defeat and chose to betray Toussaint and join his forces with Leclerc.
Oh, I did not know that. I didn't know Dessalines was, betraying. Uh, oh my gosh, I forgot his name now. I forgot how to pronounce his name. But yes, I didn't know he was going to betray his superior. What's his name again? I have to pronounce his name properly. Toussaint, yeah. I didn't know he was going to betray Toussaint like this. Wow.
Faced with insurmountable odds, Toussaint would agree to surrender in June. Under the terms, Leclerc gave his words that slavery would not be restored. That
You have no authority to say that. It's a lie. But of course, Toussaint didn't know this, and he didn't have any option really. With one of his own close confidants, Dessalines betraying him like this, what choice did he have?
Toussaint's forces would be integrated in the French army and that the Governor-General may retire to his plantation. Though Toussaint, at some point during his arrest and deportation to France, must have realised Leclerc lied. He would die months later, jailed in Fort de Joux. The guns would fall silent for some months. However, the expedition would still take over 10,000 casualties due to yellow fever. When it became apparent that Napoleon was fully set on reinstituting slavery on the island, rebellion would break out once again. Dessalines would desert Leclerc and take on the leadership mantle of the renewed revolt in October of 1802. Leclerc would also be abandoned by his Polish legion, numbering over 5,000 men. The Poles had seen similarities between their own independence struggle and the Haitians, and would throw their lot in with Dessalines.
Oh, that's interesting to know about. Oh, wow. So there were Polish forces with the French forces, but they saw that the plight of the people of Saint-Domingue and what they are trying to fight for, and they took a chance and they said they're siding with the revolt, the revolution. Okay, wow. Where are they now? After this entire situation, what happened to them? Did they return back to Poland or did they stay behind?
Leclerc would receive the news of all of this as he laid dying of yellow fever, and he would order the massacre of blacks on the island as retaliation, before succumbing to the disease the following month. The expedition's killings provoked Dessalines' own massacre of French whites. The toll yellow fever had taken on the French army left them struggling to enforce order or even defend their own positions. The outbreak of war between Britain and France in May of 1803 made sure that no reinforcements would ever arrive to Saint-Domingue.
I hear what Dessalines is trying to do here in terms of, retaliation for what de Klerk wanted to do, in terms of killing as many black Africans as possible on the island. But, he should have thought of this in a better way. Instead of, instituting a genocide on all, European settlers, he should have thought of this in a better way. Because by doing this, he is creating permanent enemies, in terms of the United States of America, Britain, Spain, France. And in the end, Dessalines had to understand that, his island is limited in terms of economic generation, economic, production. Because mainly the island has been an export-orientated economy, exporting sugar, coffee beans, and indigo. You're going to need to talk to these former colonial masters or settlers. You need to talk to them and to continue the trade of your economic output. I know it's not something, anyone wants to go through, especially after you've been enslaved by these people. But you have to think of this in a political and forward-thinking manner. What's going to be best for your people? Just like how I keep forgetting his name. I keep forgetting his name. Tossard. Yeah, like how Tossard was also planning to do. Yes, he doesn't trust any of these people. But he had to make sure that there would be partnerships where his people could benefit economically. How he went about it, it is totally wrong in terms of forcing his people to continue on the plantations, forcing his people to continue producing all of these resources for trade, instead of explaining to his people, instead of bringing his people into his confidence. He forced it down the barrel of a gun. Then he should have chosen another way. And Dessalines also, in this matter, he should have chosen another way of resolving this matter without resorting to a genocide, thinking that that's the best answer as a retaliation for what de Klerk wanted to do as well. You don't have to copy what these European settlers are doing. Be better. Oh well.
Dessalines would lead his people to victory at the Battle of Vétères in November. The vastly outnumbered expedition was forced from the island in the last major battle of the Revolution. With the French army gone, Dessalines and his men were free to complete a genocide against the remaining French colonists, only further cementing the hostility of Haiti's neighbours and polarising Haiti's independence. With the loss of Saint-Domingue and the sale of Louisiana earlier in May, Napoleon's ambitions for a French America were lost. In January of 1804, the entire island was declared independent under its native-inspired name of Haiti.
Native-inspired name? By the Taino people? Because those are the natives. Not the African slaves, not the European settlers. They are not native. So, Haiti comes from the Taino people. Right?
Dessalines would assume the title of Emperor Jacques I. His rule would be a continuation of the military dictatorship Toussaint forged, and authoritarian rule would haunt the people of Haiti for centuries.
Like the lion who tasted man, nothing is ever so sweeter than tasting power. Once you have a taste of it, you can never let it go, and it consumes you. It consumes your dreams, it consumes your purpose, and your legacy is tarnished for good.
Dessalines would only rule for 2 years before his assassination at the hands of mulatto rebels. Haiti had been the first country in the world to permanently abolish slavery, the second independent colony in the Americas, and the first black-led republic. However, it came at a staggering price, as the country struggled to find recognition, burdened with crippling indemnity payments to France until 1947, and has been subject to endemic political strife. The violence and poverty inflicted on the Haitian people continues to oppress them to this day. But in its history and its continued existence, Haiti can stand as a revolutionary country built on revolutionary ideals in a very revolutionary revolution. So, making our contractually obligated segue, let me talk to you about where you can find more content from me. And get this, also the channels you like. Over on Nebula, you can watch my exclusive 16-minute video going into the history of Assassin's Creed 2. Me and other creators such as City Beautiful, Real Life Lore, Tierzoo, and a whole lot of other people are creating content that we just can't do on YouTube. Such as featuring our video libraries ad-free and creating exclusive originals for the service. I plan on doing a whole lot more videos going over history and video games for the platform, and this has all been made possible thanks to Nebula's partnership with CuriosityStream. There are thousands of documentaries on CuriosityStream covering history, science, nature, technology, society, and why yes, 19th century revolutions. I can recommend their 2-part series covering the French Revolution. It's called the French Revolution, so I'll trust you'll find it. For a limited time, CuriosityStream is offering 26% off an annual plan for a total of $14 and 79 US cents a year. You can support your favorite independent creators and get tons of new content to watch from whatever I'm doing to some of the best professionally produced documentaries out there. So, to see more content on those platforms and to support more content coming out on here, consider going to the link curiositystream.com/featurehistory. And now, up last, and definitely least, it's question time. Ooh. Mr. Mitchell History asks, what did your school teacher make of you being such a successful global history teacher at high school age?
Wow.
I'm afraid I'm going to need you to elaborate on what a school or a success is, because I've had very little of either. Sky asks, how do you cure loneliness? I found touching some grass works pretty good. And Nathaniel Ayele asks, is Melbourne the best city on earth?
I guess it is.
And with that, we hold hands and say thanks to the patrons for their bountiful offerings. I'm thinking of doing something a bit different for the next video, something that may take less than a month and a half to make, but then again, let's not get greedy. Goodbye bye.
Okay guys, that is it. That is it with the Future History Haitian Revolutions Part 1 and Part 2. Requested by Greg Lee Laszlo 5463. Yes. Oh, okay. This Haitian Revolution videos made by Future History do have, extra information that I did not get from the extra history, and especially when it pertains to the Taino people, the original inhabitants of the island. I'm still not really sure whether are they completely wiped out, or are they still Taino descendants, still living on the island. I'll just have to check about that, because even the Haiti, the name of the island now, part of the island I should say, it's called by a native name. And I'm assuming that native name comes from the Taino people, because they are the natives, not the African slaves, not the European settlers. Yeah, but I guess I'll just have to research about that. And yeah, Haiti has had a turbulent past in terms of the revolution. And even after the revolution, they still had political instability. They still were contending with their former colonial masters or settlers, especially the French, and also the Americans were meddling in their internal political affairs as well. So, Haiti has gone through a lot, and their people are still, going through all that has happened before in those hundreds of years after, getting their independence and ending slavery in their part of the island. And, I don't think they will ever crumble as a people. Yes, they may be going through some tough situations, but as a people, I don't think they'll ever crumble. They have gone through a lot, and what they're going through right now in the present day, it's not going to end them. They will figure out a way to build themselves up again. Because yes, revolution is needed in any type of situation where there's injustice. At a massive scale, revolution is needed. Change is needed. The issue with revolution and change is that it's also a bit of a gamble, because you don't know what's going to come out of it. Yes, ultimately it can be for the good, but there will be some terrible situations before you get to that good place. You will have men or women who seek power no matter what, who will ride the coattails of this revolution for their own personal gain. And a lot of terrible situations, unfortunate situations that could have been avoided might actually occur, because the revolution demands there to be chaos so that change can take place. That's a revolution. And, Haiti has survived through that revolution. They have made themselves into something. It may not be what they would have wished for or hoped for, but from that foundation, they can still build and create a better nation for themselves. Yeah. So Haiti is not down and out they are still here, and I believe that with time they will get themselves up, and build themselves up again. We just need to give them that support. We just need to give them that, recognition that we notice you, that we see you. And definitely, I think I need to research more on, the current events that are happening in Haiti. Because, like I've said before with my previous reaction during the extra history, I only know the bad situations that are happening in Haiti. I don't know anything that is happening there that is good, in terms of development, in terms of social, cohesion, especially because of the racial and segregated past as well. How have the people been able to unite as a society, as a people, as a nation? I still need to research on that as well. But definitely Haiti is a nation that, has a bright future, like any other nation that has gone through something so terrible. They have the grit, they have the determination to make themselves better. And we just have to believe in them. Yeah. But this was interesting. This was really, really interesting in terms of the Haitian Revolution, the information given by Future History, and also the fact that Dessalines betrayed Tissot. Wow, I was a bit surprised about that one. Because also I didn't get that from the Extra History YouTube channel. So yeah, this is also a bit of new information that also surprised me. But yeah, guys, that's it. Thank you again to Gregory Laszlo 5463 for the suggestion. It was really good, and also Future History for compiling the information and presenting it in a very entertaining way with the picture diagrams that are popping in, going out, sliding in, zooming out. Yeah, that was really nice. Very, very nice presentation. And yeah, guys, that's it. Remember, if you want to check out the original videos as well as Future History's YouTube channel, the links are going to be in the description below. If you like my reaction, please give me a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Click on the notification bell if you want to be up to date with my latest videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay?